Woman's shriek cut through the lazy Caribbean afternoon like a rusty machete. I need a towel, now! I was just floating, Eyes closed, sun warming my face, the gentle slosh of the pool water against my ears. Pure bliss at a beautiful resort in the Dominican Republic. That blissful bubble popped open the second her voice hit me. I opened my eyes, blinking away the glare, and there she was. A woman, mid-50s maybe, bright red from the sun, hands on her hips, glaring at me. I looked down. Just my swim trunks. No uniform, no little resort logo, not even a wristband that screamed staff. I'd literally just been chatting with one of the actual lifeguards, Marco, about the surprising lack of jellyfish that season. Guess that was my crime. Excuse me? I said, trying to keep the confusion out of my voice. A towel? She repeated, like I was purposefully being obtuse. I need a clean towel. Get one for me? I splashed a little, pushing off the side. Oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, I began, my smile feeling a bit strained. But I actually don't work here. I'm just a guest, like you. Her eyes narrowed, like I just revealed I was secretly a lizard person. Don't be ridiculous. Of course you work here. I saw you just talking to that lifeguard. She pointed a perfectly manicured, slightly aggressive finger towards Marco, who was now expertly ignoring the entire scene. Yes, I said a little more slowly because he's a lifeguard, and I'm a guest who was just having a conversation. I'm Julian. I'm on vacation. She scoffed, a truly magnificent sound that conveyed deep displeasure and utter disbelief. Vacation? You're obviously an employee trying to slack off. Now, stop wasting my time and get me a towel. Her voice had picked up a few decibels. Other guests were starting to notice. My amusement was rapidly turning into genuine annoyance. Ma'am, I truly do not work here. The towel station is right over there. I pointed towards a shaded kiosk about 20 feet away, clearly marked. You can help yourself. She actually bristled. Her face went an even deeper shade of red. This is unacceptable. You're going to get me a towel right now, or I'm going to speak to your manager. I just stared at her, then shrugged. Go ahead. You'll find out I'm just Julian from Toronto, and my manager is back home, blissfully unaware of this towel crisis. She let out a frustrated grunt, muttered something under her breath about lazy staff and ruined vacations, and stomped off. I figured that was the end of it. A classic I don't work here lady interaction. I mean, it happens. Except it wasn't. As I was swimming a few laps to cool off, I heard it again. Her voice, louder this time. It was coming from the towel station, which, I noted, did have a small stack of fresh towels now. And who was she yelling at? Marco, the very lifeguard I'd been chatting with earlier? This is ridiculous, she was practically screaming. I've been waiting for 10 minutes for a towel. You need to get me one immediately. I'm a paying customer. Marco, bless his heart, was trying to maintain a professional, serene demeanor. He gestured to the pile. Ma'am, there are fresh towels right here. They just arrived. Don't you talk back to me, she roared. You're all so incompetent. First, he wouldn't get me one. She dramatically pointed a finger straight at me, still in the pool. And now you're trying to make me get my own towel? This is a 5-star resort. Other guests were openly gawking. Kids stopped splashing. An awkward hush fell over the poolside area. Marco looked like he was about to burst. Suddenly, a woman in a crisp resort manager's uniform, who had clearly been alerted by the commotion, strode purposefully towards them. She put a firm, calming hand on Marco's arm, who looked incredibly relieved. Ma'am, is there a problem? The manager asked, her voice calm but authoritative. The Karen launched into a tirade, waving her arms, pointing at Marco, pointing at me again. I swear she accused us of conspiring against her. The manager listened, nodded occasionally, but her gaze was sharp, her expression unyielding. After about a minute of this one-sided verbal assault, the manager simply took the Karen by the elbow, turned her around, and politely but firmly escorted her away towards the reception area. The Karen was still muttering, but her volume had finally dropped. A collective sigh of relief seemed to sweep over the pool. I swam over to Marco, who was leaning against his lifeguard chair, running a hand through his hair, looking a little green around the gills. Dude, I said, treading water. She was intense. He chuckled, a short, nervous sound. Tell me about it. She was yelling about the towels, about how I was disrespecting her. She even said I needed to apologize for you refusing to do your job. He shook his head. People like that. They come to paradise and then try to turn it into hell? Tell me about it, I echoed, sharing my initial encounter. She thought I was staff too. My crime was talking to you. Marco actually laughed then, a genuine relieved laugh. See? It's not just us in uniform, they just see anybody not doing exactly what they want and assume they're paid to serve them. The entitlement is real, man. We spent a good 5 minutes commiserating about it, the absurdity of people who genuinely believe their vacation entitles them to scream at strangers. It was a bizarre yet oddly bonding moment. So, yeah, tourists can be absolutely wild sometimes. It's like they pack away their common sense with their swimsuits. Just a friendly reminder, folks, even in paradise, the people serving you are human and the guy enjoying the pool next to you is probably just Julian from Toronto. Thanks for letting me vent, Reddit. Stay safe out there, and for the love of all that is holy, grab your own damn towel.
Liking the vibe so far? Hit that subscribe button and stick around, the next story's even better.
The shriek was what hit me first, a sound like a banshee discovering a coupon expired, followed by the actual banshee herself, barreling straight at my wife. 1 minute, we were deep in the fluorescent glow of Wally World's garden section, me admiring a particularly robust sprinkler head, my wife, Sarah, meticulously inspecting garden hoses for the perfect length and heft. The next, a woman with a face like a perpetually soured lemon was practically tackling Sarah, eyes fixed on her like she was the last employee left on Earth. "Excuse me," she huffed, shoving past me with surprising force, nearly sending me into a display of fertilizer. "Where is the dog shampoo?" Her voice was a grating, entitled whine. Sarah, who has the patience of a saint and the calm demeanor of a particularly unbothered sloth, slowly turned. She was just in jeans and a hoodie, not a uniform in sight, but I guess when you're desperate for canine cleansing products, anyone is fair game. "Oh," Sarah said, her tone utterly even, a slight frown touching her brow. "You can usually find the dog shampoo in the pet section over near the dry food." She even gestured vaguely in the right direction. The woman's jaw tightened. Her eyes, already narrowed, practically became slits. "I know where the pet section is," she snapped, as if Sarah had just insulted her family lineage. "I need you to take me there." "And hurry up, I haven't got all day." She even stamped her foot a little, for emphasis. I actually flinched. I could feel the familiar thrum of anger start to build in my chest. My temper's a work in progress. A lifelong renovation project. Usually I'd be stepping in, my voice laced with a sarcasm I've cultivated over decades of dealing with the absurd. But Sarah, she handles these things with a grace I can only aspire to. She just stared at the woman, a tiny, almost imperceptible sigh escaping her lips. "Ma'am," she began, her voice a little firmer now, "I don't actually work here. My husband and I are just trying to find a garden hose." That's when things went from 0 to unhinged in about 2 seconds flat. The woman's face flushed a furious beet red. She grabbed Sarah's arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "Don't you lie to me," she practically screamed, her voice echoing off the corrugated metal ceiling. "I saw you. You're clearly trying to avoid helping me. This is what's wrong with customer service nowadays. You're lazy, incompetent, and frankly a disgrace." My hands clenched into fists. My wife, the most patient person I know, was being manhandled and verbally assaulted by a stranger over dog shampoo. The little voice in my head, the one that usually urges me to be the better man, was being drowned out by a much louder one screaming, "Get off her, you hag." But Sarah, bless her heart, maintained eye contact. Her expression, however, had shifted. The saintly patience was gone, replaced by a quiet, steely resolve. "Let go of my arm," she said, her voice low, dangerous even. "Now?" The woman, oblivious or perhaps too self-absorbed to notice the shift, just tightened her grip. "No, not until you show me where the dog shampoo is, or I'll call your manager, you'll be fired!" That was it. My work-in-progress temper hit a major snag. I moved, stepping directly between Sarah and this human-shaped storm cloud. My broad back faced the woman, shielding Sarah completely. "Hey," I said, my voice deliberately calm, though my insides were doing the Macarena. She told you already she doesn't work here. And you will let go of her arm. The woman sputtered, momentarily stunned by a new obstacle. Who are you? She squawked, craning her neck to see past me. Another lazy employee trying to cover for your friend? I'm her husband, I replied, my voice a little colder now. And I'm telling you need to back off. You're harassing a customer and frankly, you're making a scene. I gave her my best don't mess with me glare, a look perfected over years of dealing with less savory characters. She finally released Sarah's arm, her face a comical mix of outrage and dawning realization. Her eyes flickered from my angry face to Sarah's now rubbed arm, then to our completely uniformless attire. The sheer absurdity of the situation seemed to finally pierce her thick hide. Well, she huffed, straightening her shirt as if we had wrinkled it. This is just appalling. I've never been treated so rudely by customers. She stomped her foot one last time, turned on her heel with a dramatic flounce that almost sent her into a display of plastic watering cans, and marched off, muttering loudly about incompetent staff and the lack of respect these days. Sarah gently nudged me. Bruce, she said, a hint of amusement now in her voice, you did good. You didn't even yell. I turned, giving her a slightly sheepish grin. Baby steps, right? But seriously, what is wrong with some people? She just shook her head, rubbing her arm. No idea. Now about that garden hose? We've got to find one before another shampoo-crazed Karen decides I'm a store clerk. We both chuckled, the tension slowly easing. And as we resumed our search, carefully avoiding eye contact with any passing shopper, I couldn't help but marvel at the sheer, unadulterated entitlement some folks carry around. But hey, at least this time my temper stayed mostly on its leash. Mostly.
You work here, lady? He snarled, his voice cutting through the soft jazz and the gentle clinking of glasses. His face, ruddy and contorted, was inches from mine, reeking faintly of stale beer and bad decisions. Because if you don't, then you need to mind your own damn business. I remember thinking, oh, it's on now. My quiet evening, my good book, my perfectly chilled glass of Merlot, all of it had just been hijacked by a walking, talking entitlement complex, and honestly, I was kind of enjoying it. But let's back up a little. My name's Aubrey, and normally I'm pretty low-key. A few weeks ago I'd stumbled upon this new spot, the Velvet Lounge, a cozy little bar with dim lighting and a surprisingly good wine list, right in my neighborhood. It quickly became my go-to for unwinding after a long day. Most nights, I'd just tuck myself into a corner booth, lost in the pages of whatever fantasy novel had captured my attention that week. The bartender, Meg, was part of the charm. She was a breath of fresh air, recently moved to the city with a quick smile and a dry wit. We'd quickly fallen into an easy rhythm of casual conversation between her busy moments. She was meticulous with her drinks, clearly taking pride in her craft, and I appreciated that. This particular Tuesday, I was mid-chapter half listening to Meg chat with another customer when the double doors swung open with a bang, ushering in a wave of obnoxious noise. 4 people, 2 men, 2 women, all dressed like they thought they were at a VIP club, not a quiet Tuesday night bar, stomped in. They immediately commandeered a significant chunk of real estate at the bar, shouting their orders and waving their arms. Hey, bartender, Meg, right? Get over here! One of the guys, a beefy dude with a perpetually annoyed expression, barked, snapping his fingers like he was summoning a dog. Meg, bless her patient soul, finished with her current customer, offered a tight-lipped smile, and moved towards them. It started subtly enough, complaints about the music being too loud. It was barely audible. Then about their drinks being wrong, even before they'd tasted them. Is this even a real Manhattan? Beefy dude griped, pushing a perfectly good cocktail glass back across the bar. This is watery. And where's the little cherry thingy? Meg, already looking weary, explained that the bar didn't use maraschino cherries but had a lovely brandied cherry instead. He scoffed, and his blonde female companion chimed in, well, I don't like the way this martini looks. It's not cold enough. Are you even chilling the glass right? She swirled her drink dramatically, splashing a little over the rim. My blood was starting to simmer. I'd seen enough retail and service work in my youth to recognize pure, unadulterated entitlement when I saw it. Meg was doing her best, clearly trying to de-escalate, but they just kept piling on, their voices growing louder, their demands more absurd. They weren't just complaining, they were actively trying to belittle her. My book became a blurry shield. I could feel the tension radiating off Meg, her shoulders growing stiffer with each insult. And then Beefy Dude snapped his fingers again, even louder this time. "Hey, Meg, get me another one of these, but actually make it right this time, all right? And quickly, we don't have all night." That was it. My quiet evening, my lovely wine, my new friend Meg, they were all under attack. Something in me just snapped. I closed my book with a definitive thud that echoed a little too loudly in the suddenly hushed bar, slid off my stool, and walked right up to their little entitlement party. "Excuse me," I said, trying to keep my voice even though my jaw was tight. "Could you maybe lower your voices? You're being incredibly disruptive, and frankly, you're being really rude to the bartender."
Silence. They all just stared at me, mid-complaint, mouths slightly agape. Beefy Dude's eyes narrowed. "Who the hell are you?" he finally sneered, puffing out his chest. "You work here?"
This was it. The moment I'd been waiting for, though I hadn't known it until then. "No," I said, a smile spreading across my face, a challenging, slightly dangerous smile, I imagine. "I don't work here. I'm a customer just like you. And I'm trying to enjoy my evening. You're making it impossible." His face flushed crimson. "Then mind your own damn business," he roared, leaning forward, spittle flying. "You have no right telling us what to do. Get back to your table, lady, before I get you thrown out." "Thrown out?" I scoffed. "For asking you to be a decent human being? You're the ones who are out of line. You're treating Meg like dirt, snapping your fingers, complaining about everything. She's a professional, and you're acting like spoiled children?" "Oh, now you're an expert on customer service," he scoffed, gesturing wildly. "You don't even work here. This is none of your concern." "It became my concern the moment you started harassing another person in my presence," I shot back, feeling a rush of adrenaline. "You think just because someone serves you, you get to treat them like they're beneath you? Newsflash, buddy, you're just a customer. And a really terrible one at that." His friends, who had been awkwardly shifting their weight and avoiding eye contact, suddenly looked very interested in their shoes. Meg was frozen behind the bar, her eyes wide, a flicker of something between fear and gratitude in them. Beefy Dude took another step toward me, his voice a low growl. "I'm gonna have the manager throw you out for harassment. You're clearly looking for trouble." "Go right ahead," I challenged, crossing my arms. "Tell the manager how an innocent customer asked you to stop being a menace and you decided to escalate it. I'll be right here. I'm sure Meg would be thrilled to corroborate my story." That seemed to deflate him a little. He glanced over at Meg, who, still wide-eyed, slowly nodded her head. The silence stretched, thick with tension. He looked around the bar, likely noticing that a few other customers were now openly staring, clearly on my side. His bravado visibly deflated. "Forget it," he grumbled, turning to his increasingly uncomfortable friends. "This place is clearly trash anyway. Come on, let's go somewhere decent." And with that, they stormed out, leaving behind a trail of lingering tension and the sudden, blissful quiet. Meg let out a long, shaky breath, leaning against the back bar. "Wow," she whispered, a small, genuine smile finally breaking through. Just wow. The next morning, I couldn't stop thinking about Meg. I felt a weird mix of exhilaration and guilt. Exhilaration from standing my ground, but guilt that she'd had to endure those jerks at all. I decided to head back to the Velvet Lounge during her shift just to check in. When I walked in, Meg looked up and a wave of relief washed over her face. "Aubrey, hey," she called out, genuinely happy to see me. "You're back." "Hey," I said, hopping onto a stool. "Just wanted to make sure you were okay after that mess last night, and maybe apologize for jumping into your workday like that." She scoffed, waving a dismissive hand. "Apologize? Are you kidding me? You are a godsend. That guy was effing crazy. I swear I was seconds from telling him off myself, but you beat me to it. Thank you, really. No one's ever stood up for me like that. We ended up talking for a while, sharing stories, laughing about the absurdities of customer service, and finding common ground over a shared love for obscure fantasy novels and decent Cabernet. It was easy, comfortable, and felt like a friendship that was meant to be. Before I left, she slid a fresh glass of wine my way. On the house, she said with a grin. And from now on, anytime you're in, consider it 20% off. It's the least I can do for my new favorite customer and friend. So yeah, that's how I ended up with a new friend, a discount on my wine, and a renewed faith in standing up for what's right, even when it means getting yelled at by a complete stranger who thinks they own the place. You never know what kind of good can come from telling an entitled jerk exactly where they can shove it.
Got time for one more. This next video is worth it.